Hi, so welcome back to another episode of my channel. Today I'm going to make a nice, quick and simple mushroom pilau or pilaf rice. I'm going to start by heating a aluminium frying pan, and I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of oil, and I'm just going to let that heat up. So once the oil's nice and hot, I'm adding 2 very finely chopped medium-sized onions. We want a medium heat for this because we're going to sweat these onions down very slowly and they're going to release a subtle sweetness, and that's the trick to a good pilau rice. So we'll be back in, I should think, over 10 minutes. I'll give an approximate time when we come back. So that's been about 8 minutes now. Definitely time to add mushrooms. There's about 400 grams of coarsely chopped mushrooms there. It might look quite alarming considering this is a one pot dish. But don't worry, those mushrooms will reduce down rapidly. I'm going to put a lid on just to speed up that process. So give a stir every couple of minutes, make sure nothing's sticking. If worst comes to the worst, and it dries out, which I doubt it because those mushrooms are emitting quite a little bit of moisture. Add a little bit more oil, but it's probably not necessary. Just give it a good stir every couple of minutes. So there we go, that's reduced down drastically. Nicely cooked. So next I'm just going to make a space. I'm going to throw in a small handful of cashew nuts, and I'm just going to toast them off. They release a really nice flavour. Only takes about a minute. Next, some green chilies. I'm going to use some tomato puree, tablespoon, undiluted. And I do want a little bit of kick to this. I want the 2-dimension chili, so the green chili, and I'm using about a shy teaspoon of Kashmiri chili powder. I'm going to turn the heat down. I'm using half a teaspoon, or 2 good generous pinches of garam masala. It's superior garam masala, you can find it on my channel. And that is an alternative, and as opposed to using whole spices. Using 2/3 of a teaspoon of turmeric, and what I've done, I've boiled some water alongside here because we're using 2 cups of rice, so we're using 3 cups of water, which is good to preheat in advance so it doesn't reduce the temperature of your dish. I'm just going to give that a good stir. It's going to come to a nice vigorous boil. We'll come back. And I'm also using half a teaspoon of turmeric. If I've just put double the amount in, it doesn't really matter. It's only quite a shy amount, and turmeric is extra healthy for you. There's a whole list of health benefits. Just going to give that a good stir. So about 50 seconds later, my 2 cups of basmati extra long grain rice, 112 hybrid, longest basmati in the world. If you don't cook it right, it won't be. And that's been soaking for half an hour, and it's been thoroughly cleaned. And what I want to do is, before we add any water, just make sure the rice absorbs as much of that flavour as possible, and we want it all coming to a nice heat again. Be gentle with your rice not to break it. So we'll come back shortly. Next, salt to taste. Salt's always to taste. Don't follow recipes blindly. 1 teaspoon, half a teaspoon. Salt is to taste. If you ever stop eating salt for a week or 2, for whatever reasons, because it helps the body to retain water and you can bloat, you might eat something that you didn't think was salty before and it just tastes so. Salt is an acquired taste, and it's naturally occurring in all the vegetables anyway, but it is the graphic equalizer. Let me rephrase that. It is, salt is the graphic equalizer of spices. If you don't have any salt at all, your taste buds will be all over the place. What salt does, in along with all those spices in any dish from any part of the world really, it just balances all your spices out so you taste it at once and not the front tongue or the back or the different sensations. It just keeps it all, your spices tasting consistent. So it's salt to taste, long story short. So just going to let that come to a nice boil. That's happening now. We'll come back shortly. It's got nice and steamy, and already a lot of that moisture's been soaked up by that rice, and I'm adding the remainder of those 2 cups of water, and that's just perfect. I'm going to give it a little whirl just to make sure there's nothing sticking to the bottom, etc. And I'm going to put it on. What type of heat? Let's have a look. So nothing ferocious at all. You want it on a gentle heat. What you want to do, you want to just enough to see a little bit of bubbling. That's all you need. You don't really vigorously boil rice. It's quite late. This is my 3rd video today. I do apologise, but I'm sure you're getting the point. But that's just right. See the little trickle? I'm going to put the lid on. And what's the time now? Okay, it's 25 past. We'll give an approximate timing. I'll have a sly peek every 2-3 minutes, but we're looking at about 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes, but we'll judge it by eye. I'll come back shortly. So it's been about 8 minutes now, looking good. Look at those long grains. Now what we want to do is, obviously the heat's coming from the bottom, we just want to fold that rice over. Looking great. Still some water to leave yet. Need to test one of your grains of rice. Now that's good. It's about 80% cooked and not much water left, but the steam is going to cook that, and I'm going to turn the heat down even more. So we'll come back shortly. So let's have a peek. 3 minutes later, nice and steamy still. And what I'm going to do as a finishing and authentic touch to the dish, I'm going to put some fried onions on the top. We're going to steam away gently. I'm turning the heat right off. That's enough. And when the dish is served, what's going to happen is all those onions are going to mix in with the dish, and it'll be different textures throughout. So let's have a close in, close up. So there we go. Quite spicy, full flavour of the double onions there, do piazza almost, with the chilies and the spices. It just smells fantastic. It's just so great. I'm not going to leave the lid off long. So all I'm going to do is let that rest for 20 minutes now, half an hour. The longer the better. Some people like to be served hot rice. I'm not too bothered. I'm a little bit warmer than room temperature will do me. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. There's a lot more interesting videos to come also. Feel free to like, share and subscribe.